2 years ago, Shedeur Sanders was supposed to become the next face of football. Cameras followed him everywhere. Analysts called him a future superstar. Millions of fans believed the Sanders dynasty was untouchable. But on draft night, something felt wrong. Pick after pick went by. Teams stayed silent. NFL war rooms looked uncomfortable. And suddenly, the most famous quarterback in college football became the biggest humiliation of the entire draft. The question wasn't just whether Shedeur Sanders fell. The real question was, why did the NFL seem terrified of the Sanders brand itself? 2 years ago, Shedeur Sanders looked untouchable. He wasn't just a quarterback. He was a celebrity, a brand, a movement. The son of one of the most powerful personalities football has ever seen. But then draft night happened, and suddenly, the entire football world froze. Team after team passed on him. Fans were confused. Analysts panicked. Social media exploded. And for the first time, the Sanders empire looked vulnerable. Was he overrated? Did NFL teams secretly hate the Sanders brand? Or did the biggest media machine in football create a superstar that NFL scouts never fully believed in? Because behind the cameras, behind the celebrity lifestyle, behind the millions of followers, there was a growing fear inside NFL buildings, and nobody wanted to say it publicly. This story isn't really about one quarterback. It's about what happens when celebrity culture collides with the NFL. Because the NFL loves stars, but it only loves stars it can control. And the Sanders family, they were never controllable. This documentary is the story of hype, pressure, ego, politics, and public humiliation. And by the end, you'll understand why Shedeur Sanders became the most controversial quarterback in football before ever playing an NFL snap. The rise happened fast, almost too fast. When Deion Sanders arrived in college football, everything changed. Suddenly, cameras followed practices. Social media clips went viral every day. Recruiting exploded. Celebrities showed up on sidelines. And right in the center of it all was Shedeur Sanders, confident, flashy, calm under pressure. To fans, he looked like the future. And honestly, the production around him was unbelievable. Sports media couldn't stop talking about him. Every throw became a highlight. Every interview became content. Every tunnel walk became an event. And when Colorado exploded nationally, the Sanders brand became bigger than college football itself. This wasn't just a quarterback anymore. This was football celebrity culture at its peak. For a while, it actually worked. Colorado became must-watch TV. Millions tuned in every week. The jerseys sold out, the clips dominated TikTok, and Shedeur looked fearless. But the attention created something dangerous. Expectations became insane. Not good quarterback expectations, superstar expectations. People weren't asking if he'd make the NFL. They were asking whether he'd become the next great face of football. And that's when pressure started changing everything, because NFL scouts weren't watching celebrity clips. They were studying details, pocket movement, decision-making, body language, leadership, processing speed, and slowly concerns started growing behind closed doors. At first, nobody wanted to criticize him publicly. The Sanders machine was too powerful. But inside NFL circles, executives started whispering. Some scouts questioned his mechanics, others questioned whether he held the ball too long. Some worried about how much pressure came with the Sanders spotlight itself. And then came the dangerous word, distraction. Because NFL franchises don't just draft talent, they draft stability. And with Shedeur, teams knew they weren't drafting only a quarterback. They were drafting Deion Sanders. Constant media attention, daily headlines, debate shows, internet pressure, celebrity culture. One anonymous executive reportedly said the attention surrounding him was exhausting before he even entered the league. And that changed everything. Suddenly, this wasn't just football evaluation anymore. This became politics. Then the backlash started, and it got ugly. Critics started saying he was overhyped. Others said the media protected him. Some fans believed the Sanders brand cared more about fame than football. And online, the debates became brutal. Overrated, entitled, system quarterback, celebrity athlete. But supporters fired back immediately. They argued NFL teams were threatened by confidence. They argued old-school executives hated the Sanders swagger. They argued Shedeur was being punished for being too famous. And honestly, that's what made the story explode. Nobody agreed on reality anymore. One side saw arrogance, the other side saw fear, and draft night turned that tension into a public disaster. Draft night was supposed to be the coronation. Instead, it became humiliation. Every camera was waiting. Every sports network was ready. And then the picks started moving. One team passed, then another, then another. The room started getting uncomfortable. Analysts looked confused. Fans started panicking online. How is he still available? What are teams seeing? Did something happen behind the scenes? And the longer it lasted, the worse it became. Because this wasn't happening privately. This humiliation was happening live in front of millions, and suddenly the internet turned vicious. Memes exploded. Sports shows reversed their opinions. Critics celebrated. The same media that helped build the hype now fed the collapse. And maybe the most painful part? Nobody could fully explain it, which created the most dangerous narrative of all. Maybe the NFL was sending a message. After the draft, football stopped being the main story. Now, it was about power, about image, about whether the NFL secretly rejected the Sanders brand itself, because the Sanders family represented something different. Visibility, confidence, control, celebrity. And historically, the NFL has always preferred quiet superstars, not loud empires. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Maybe the NFL wasn't entirely wrong either, because at some point the football evaluation got buried under the hype machine. And that's what made this story so dangerous. Nobody knew where the real quarterback ended and where the brand began. Even now, fans still argue about it every single day. Was he exposed or was he targeted? Maybe one day, Shedeur Sanders will prove everybody wrong. Maybe this entire story becomes the beginning of a legendary comeback. The NFL loves redemption stories, but right now, that's not how this feels right now. This feels like the moment football's biggest celebrity family finally discovered something brutal. The NFL doesn't care how famous you are. It doesn't care how viral you become. And it definitely doesn't care about internet hype, because eventually, every brand collides with reality. And when the cameras stopped rolling, when the draft cameras moved on, when the headlines faded away, one question was left hanging over the entire Sanders empire. Did the NFL reject Shedeur Sanders? Or did it reject everything the Sanders brand represented? The league always wins.